Everyone ready? At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of the West Mifflin Area School District on Thursday, January 23rd, 2020. The West Mifflin Area School District regular board meeting is held in the West Mifflin Borough Building Council Chambers, 1020 Lebanon Road, West Mifflin, PA 15122. Meeting to begin at 7:08 p.m. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Amer.
Here.
Alexandrov.
Here.
Blazevich.
Here.
DeCenzo.
Here.
Engler.
Here.
Kostelnik.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Mattis.
Here.
White.
Presentations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Presentation A, Clara Barton Elementary School is recognizing outstanding students in both social and academic settings through the Terrific Titan Award. The Terrific Titan Award is a grade level award voted upon by the Clara Barton staff for the students who have displayed the utmost respect, responsibility, and readiness to learn each month. The three qualities or characteristics developed through their positive behavior intervention support program. Congratulations to the Terrific Titans for the months of November and December. Mr. Flick, will you come up here, please?
Thanks, Mr. Sullivan. Yeah. I think what's really great about this award is that the students who won this award earned it by gathering the most votes from the entire staff for the Terrific Titan Award. So it's really an awesome recognition for them. We'll start with November. When I call your name, please stand up here for a quick picture right afterwards. Tyrus Ogletree. Jaden Cleaver. Mia Lefevre. Ty Brandon Ogletree. I was his older brother. Good job, buddy. We'll go to December. Morgan Jeffrey. Veronica Babkin. Lane Earlywine. Joel Katolski. Right up front. It's easier than trying to get through the big giant crowd here. Sorry, Doc. Here, I'll take one more second. Come on over, guys. Get a little closer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Flick. Presentation B, Humville Elementary School, recognizing positive behavior by awarding students caught being good with a B as part of their PBIS program. Congratulations to the top winners in each grade, earning the title of King or Queen Bee for the months of November or December. Mr. Hannah, would you join me up front?
I'm going to let Mr. Campanet pass them out, and I'll take the picture.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The reason there's so many is because there was a lot of ties, so I didn't want to not recognize anybody and have a tiebreaker, so I just invited you all. Now these are the students that continually, day in and day out, show respect, responsibility, and readiness to learn. For the month of December, Brody Brethold. Maggie Jasinski. Francesca Dominica.
Follow them that come through the door and stand right here, because it's gonna get crowded up there.
Yeah. Go ahead through the door. Follow her. Maybe they could stand around. You got it.
Get your training
Stand on the
spots.
stage. And then face the crowd. Okay, next one is Sophia Sill. Next one is Bailey McLean. There she is. Come on up here, Bailey. Eli Thompson. Jason Boston. I was told that he's here. There he is. Good job, Jason. Skylar Oliver. Congratulations, Skylar. Danica Kostelnik.
Danica? Danica? Okay.
You here?
Yeah, she's coming.
You could park the aisle so we can.
I think he was first on the list.
Yeah, Brody. And are you some? I'm looking at Danica, Eli, and Riley Crane. And December.
Okay, let's take the Novembers, and then we'll make some more room. Riley, from right in the middle and down. Okay. Okay, this may be the hardest part of the night.
Guys, look at me.
Did you get one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get one here. Okay. Gosh. I look good. Okay, look at this camera. Can you all see yourself? Dr. Hoover, lean to the right, okay? Okay, there you go. Did I get it? One more.
I got it. All right, you guys can.
Oh my gosh.
December, Cameron Clark. Anybody know if Cameron's back there?
Cameron Clark.
Jace Jasko. Kendall Healy. Frankie Tomaso.
Tomaso, Frankie. All right, Frankie.
Come on, Frankie.
There he is. Come on, bud.
Devon Wolford. Devon. Johnny Grove. Elena Lasutis. Pamela Dawson. Pamela back there. Zion Knox. Mason McDermott. Royce McMahon. Royce back there.
Royce.
Riley's little brother.
Xavier Moore. And Aiden Oslauger. Okay, if anyone was not here, I will have these certificates in my office tomorrow. I'll call the cover down.
I got this, Okay, say I love Mr. Hannah. With a smile. Good. Nice job.
You almost had it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That was a birthday party. I know.
Presentation C.
He was like, Mom. I was like,
Presentation C, congratulations to the middle school students of the month for December and January. A total of 21 students in grades 6 through 8 are selected each month and receive a lunch courtesy of Buffalo Wild Wings. The following students were chosen as the top 3 students for December and January.
Excuse me, guys, sorry, we're trying to continue with our presentations. I know there's a lot of people that's crowded, but can you please respect the other kids that need to be recognized.
All right, for 6th grade, our top student for December is Samantha Kowaleski. They want to come in too?
They should probably wait till they get in the door.
We'll come around. Letting them know. And our 7th grade top student for the month of December is Adam McElhaney. No, Adam. And 8th grade for the month of December is Zane Griffithton. And for January, our top student for grade 6 is Matthew Riley. Seventh grade, Emmy Hilligsberg. And finally, 8th grade for January, Cindy Kleinhans. I know how to do that. And then I'll get everybody else. Okay. You can open them. There we go. See? You got that, Mr. Horn?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Haynes. Presentation D is Amy Lewis from Mayor Diesel, Certified Public Accountant, will present the local financial audit for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019.
Hear my name. Sam was so far in the hallway. I was like, oh, I think I heard my name. I'll give a minute for the copies of the presentation to be passed around. We're happy to be here again. It's good to follow such good news. I always feel like after I follow something very exciting for the students that I don't feel like I carry quite the same level of excitement, but I'm always happy to come and present.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just want to make sure the copies got passed around. So my name is Amy Lewis. I'm a partner with Mara Desol. I'm here to present the results of the fiscal year 2019 audit. I have Spencer here with me. He was the manager on the audit. So I brought him along. But as I've done in past years, I'll go through these slides, talk about the audit at a high level overview. Feel free to stop me, interrupt me if you have any questions or need me to elaborate on anything further. I'm happy to do that for you. So the first slide page number 2 is really just setting out for you what I'm planning on talking about this evening. Most of these slides are really devoted to required communications that I need to have with you as part of the audit, things that the auditing standards say that we need to make sure we talk to the boards of. And then we're going to cover some quick highlights of the financials, recognizing that we are 6 months into the next school year. So that financial information is, pretty historical now, but remind you where you were at 2019 to put into context when I'm presenting. And then just discussing briefly accounting standards that will become effective over the next few years that you will need to, just be aware of and ready for as you get to those applicable years. Page 3, the auditor's responsibility. Really, we come in and conduct an audit in accordance with the U.S. generally accepted auditing standards, as well as standards, government auditing standards, and standards related to the uniform guidance. This is all because there are certain required standards we need to follow in order to be able to render the opinion on the financial statements, as well as standards we need to follow relative to the federal funding that you receive that's passed through the Pennsylvania Department of Education. When we come in to do an audit, we do sample transactions and accounts to review. We look at your internal controls to really understand how you operate as a school district and to really plan our audit procedures. So we do test a sample of those transactions to see that you are following the control processes that we are under the impression are in place at the school district, and then test the account balances as well so that we can render the opinion as to whether or not the financial statements are materially stated and are free of any material misstatements. We do not look at 100% of all transactions. We do not look at every last account in the general ledger. We can't give you absolute assurance that there's no errors in the financial statements, but we give you the highest level of assurance you can get in the audit. Because we come in and do the audit, does not relieve management of their responsibility for the financial statements, the ultimate presentation. We do assist in drafting those financial statements as well as other related documents. But certainly at the end of the day, it is still management's financial statements. It is still the school district's financial statements. They are not ours, they're not our property. So you all need to be comfortable with what's in those financial statements. We also do assist with the preparation of the AFR that you submitted at the end of October to the state. But again, you're ultimately responsible for what gets transmitted in that. We just assist with putting some of the data into the form. So I kind of covered slides 2 through 6 in that manner. So I kind of skipped over some of the detail. A lot of the wording that's copied on those pages is really straight from our audit opinions, just again to illustrate what our responsibility is. Slide 7 talks about significant estimates. You will recall, for those of you who have listened to me talk before, that your financial statements, like most financial statements, have estimates embedded in them just by nature of putting together the financial statements. There are some significant estimates that all school districts really are subject to. So West Mifflin is not alone in these estimates, really related to the PSERS pension program. There's 2 pieces to the PSERS that creates a liability that your school district has to present on your financial statements. There's the piece that's related to the pension plan itself, which for you is an estimate of about $70 million. And then there's the piece of the PSERS that relates to the premium assistance program, which is an estimate of about $3 million, which represents what you're obligated to pay for service rendered by teachers and other eligible employees to date. So that represents the benefits that will be paid out to them over the course of their eligibility period. It is your portion of the PSERS pension liability. It's prorated to each school district based on your payroll as a percent of the whole payroll for the state. So while your number is huge to you, it is a fraction of the total PSERS pension liability. But all school districts in the state of Pennsylvania have this liability on their financial statements. You also have your own local post-employment benefit plan for healthcare for post-retirement. And so that has its own actuarial study done, and that creates an additional liability for the school district that is estimated at about $776,000. So really not as large as what you're looking at for the PSERS numbers. Finally, an estimate that's embedded in your financial statements is really what you consider to be collectible on your delinquent real estate taxes. So your outstanding face for all taxes owed to the district over all tax years is about $7 million, with an allowance for uncollectible of about $5 million. So you're netting a collectible receivable of about $2 million on your financial statements. All of these estimates we do review as part of the audit to make sure that they seem reasonable and that they're calculated in accordance with the applicable standards. And we really have no reason, to feel like there's anything materially misstated about those estimates. Slide 8 depicts the pension liability between the 2 years. So you can see the change from fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 19. Your pension liability actually went down for PSERS this year, which really is mostly a reflection of the activity at PSERS. The investment income that they earned on their fund during the year outweighed what they had to pay out in benefits during the year. So they actually had a positive in their plan during the year. So that results in a lower liability for you. Also, your proportionate share, that payroll calculation, came in a little bit smaller this year than what it was last year. So those components made your proportionate share a little bit lower this year than it was last year. Slide 9 shows you the same thing, but for the premium assistance. And you'll actually see that the flip of that occurred this year, whereas the premium assistance liability increased a little bit for the school district, which is the opposite of what happened for the pension side. As far as audit results go, all records and information requested by Mara Dissel was made freely available to us. We were able to obtain all the documents that we needed. The answers to our questions were made, very quickly and, timely. We really didn't have any issues with conducting the audit this year. We commend Dennis, who I realize is now gone. We commend Dennis and all of his staff for really helping. We were happy to start working with Joe this year through the audit process. Even in the transition, because it wasn't just Dennis that left the business office during the year, we were still able to conduct our procedures adequately. So I commend everybody for all of their help with that. It just makes the audit much smoother and easier when you can go to people and ask your questions and get the documents that you need in order to conduct it. So we were able to do that without any issues. Just with that being said, just continue to monitor, as you make changes to the office. Certainly anytime any personnel changes occur, you just want to make it sure that you're keeping an eye on that and that you're not changing policies or procedures where you might end up, you've always had good controls and processes in place where now you're changing things and maybe making some changes that maybe are subjecting that to a little bit more risk. Or you might actually do things and make it even tighter. So just kind of watch as you make changes with personnel and with roles and responsibilities to make sure you continue to be able to perform your duties adequately. We also do issue a management letter that has some comments of suggestions for improvement. That's included as part of the final audit packet. None of those matters are things that we feel are really, a significant issue or material weakness where, we really feel like it indicates any kind of major problem for the district, but certainly just some suggestions to say, you might want to consider doing this just to make things more efficient for the district. We did not have any material audit adjustments to post as part of the audit, so that's good news as well. And as it relates to the single audit, the testing of the federal dollars, we did not have any findings that we had to report, so that's also good news. Skipping ahead to slides 12, this is really just pinpointing the general fund, the activity in the general fund. If you recall, you did issue debt during the year, so some of the numbers are a little bit inflated because of the debt proceeds that came in. The total revenues that you recorded for general fund were 65.52 million, and the total expenditures on that fund were 67.12. So a reduction of the fund balance of about $1.6 million for the year. Some of that had to do with just changes, in your revenues and expenses. Some of that had to do with transfers to the construction fund and the capital projects fund. Although a deficit, some of that was purposely made to transfer money over for the construction projects that are ongoing. Without your bond proceeds, if you net that out, you're back to where you're used to seeing your budgeted numbers, riding at around $56 million. As far as the end of the year, the general fund, the fund balance composition, really about a third of it is considered unassigned, which means that it's money that is not restricted or otherwise committed to another purpose. So that leaves you, with a pretty healthy unassigned fund balance. We typically see anywhere between 5 and 10% of that balance being unassigned. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that. So it's your discretion as to whether you further commit or assign that money for other purposes. You do have money currently committed for future pension requirements, and then there is a piece of your fund balance that's really tied up in prepaid insurance, things that you've already outlaid the cash for, that you're just waiting for the policies to ride out for the year. Pages 14 and 15, if you look at high level, your budget versus actual, for your revenues, the largest variances really relate to the collection of delinquent taxes, Social Security subsidy that came in a little bit higher than budgeted, and then the medical assistance funds that came in, you drew down a little bit more than you had originally budgeted. On the expense side, the biggest difference really is related to the debt service, which really has a part to do with the refunding that you did during fiscal 19. Finally, on slide 16, I just want to point out the upcoming accounting standards. This is the part where I always feel like I went into auditing because I didn't want to be a tax accountant, because I didn't want to have to worry about tax laws changing every year. And the auditing world has come around, and now they change their rules every year. So I feel like I'm back to where I didn't want to be, but so is life. Next year, you will have a new set of statements and disclosures related to your student activity funds in your financial statements, which is a result of the fiduciary activities statement. Really not a significant change for you, because you've always had to report activity on your student activity funds in your report, but this is just a new look at it and a new presentation of it. So just a little bit more enhanced information about it. In another year down the line in fiscal 21, it is going to change the accounting for leases. So to the extent that you have any kind of equipment leases, office space leases, anything like that, all of that will then have to be accounted for, not just in the footnotes, but pulled up onto your balance sheet. So it'll be just adding to the numbers on your balance sheet and making those numbers bigger than they are now. Really at an attempt to make it easier for somebody to go straight to one page and look to see what truly are all the obligations that the school district has, that they are obligated to pay over the course of time. So they can go to that balance sheet and see the leases that are outstanding, the pension liability that's outstanding, any debt that you have outstanding, all of that. It really is just going to combine it into that one statement rather than having to piece together the statements and the notes. Further down then, the last three accounting standards really don't have much impact to the school district because you're not really involved in transactions that are significant that are affected by those standards, but we just put them on there just so you hear about them, so that in case something would change between now and when they're effective, you're not surprised about what we're talking about when we talk about those that year. So With that, that concludes my presentation. I am happy to take any questions if anybody has anything.
Anybody have a question? Thank you, appreciate your
All
time.
right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Presentation E. January is School Director Recognition Month. Would like to thank these elected school directors for the necessary to ensure our schools remain a pathway to a promising future and for making success of our children their priority. Thank you. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Hearing of the citizens' public comment, in order to speak at this time, the following must be met. Must be a West Mifflin, Whitaker, or Duquesne resident. Matter must have been discussed through the proper education channels. Direct comments to the board president and/or superintendent. Remarks limited to 3 minutes per person. We have a large group here with the Gay Straight Alliance. Anyone with that group, you guys can come forward.
This is for everybody. Extras, let us know.
Whatever you are.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Rao. My pronouns are she, her, and mother. I'm at 1747 Timothy Drive. And I'm here today to ask of all of you to help us adopt Pittsburgh Public Schools transgender policy. Some of you were at the meeting the preliminary meeting we had, and we passed out some literature, the actual policy. We just wanted everyone to look at it this evening, and we have some students that would like to talk to you from GSA. And then I would like to talk to you also as a teacher and a citizen here at West Mifflin. Have you ever had a teenager tell you that they wanted to kill themselves? I have. Have you ever had a teenager tell you that they have attempted suicide? I have. Have you ever lost a teenage family member to suicide? I have. So I'm here today as a mother whose children attend our school district, a teacher who educates our students, and a member of this community who desperately wants progress and change to see every human being in this borough thrive. I believe that we do need this transgender policy just as much as we have Act 71, which is a mandated act for schools to actively educate themselves about suicide prevention. These policies are not strong enough without each other. Researchers from the Human Life Campaign reported that in 2018, more than half transgender males, teens, who participated in their survey reported attempting suicide in their lifetime, while 29% of transgender female teens said that they have attempted suicide. Among non-binary youth, 41% of respondents stated that they had attempted suicide at some point in their lives. Many transgender young people experience family rejection, bullying, harassment, or feel unsafe simply for being who they are, all of which can be added risk factors for suicide. As the high school sponsor of the Stand Together team, I cannot sit back and allow a group of students with the highest rate of suicide attempts, depression, and anxiety disorder not have protection in our school district. This policy will help these students, our staff, and administration get proper training, understand the rules on privacy, and protect the child first. The part of the policy that is a point of interest for me is the privacy. Under the new policy, if the legal name, the sex assigned at birth, and or the status is outed by a faculty member, it could be a violation of FERPA. These items must be kept confidential. Now, the student has the right to disclose their identity. The next person then cannot disclose it, not even to a parent or guardian, unless it is by legal terms or student authorization. Please understand that for some students, our schools are our safe zone. I've had many students come out to me, but dare not tell their families. They want to stay at school sometimes because for some of them, home is not a safe place to be openly transgender. I had students who were on the Stand Together team relate to having mental health conditions due to the trauma that comes with coming out. But then they needed more. Elisa Kellington Welsh stepped up and brought GSA to the West Mifflin Area High School, and our students were able to have 2 support systems. We saw many of the students in the LGBTAI community have major depressive order and anxiety, substance abuse, attempted suicide, homelessness, gender dysphoria, and experience discomfort or distress because there's a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. Trying to figure all of this out is very hard for a young person, let alone an adult. But if we offer solution to these problems, the students can get back to learning, learn to support themselves, and feel a part of their school community. As a mother, I would be thrilled to see us think forward as a school district. We welcomed Stand Together with open arms 7 years ago. This team has grown from 5 schools to 20 schools over that time, and West Mifflin has been the #1 showcase of success because people trust in us and trust our students. I want to see that for GSA and their policy. Our community can grow if we change the climate and we teach tolerance and empathy. To my students, to the lyrics of Casey Musgrave's song Rainbow, if you can see what I see, you would be blinded by the colors, yellow, red, and orange and green, and at least a million others. So tie up the bow, take off your coat, and take a look around, because the sky is finally open. The rain and wind will stop blowing, but you're stuck in that same old storm again. I want you to hold tight to your umbrella. Well, darling, I'm just trying to tell you that there is always been a rainbow hanging over your head. Thank you very much for all of your support and support.
My name is Jasper. I go by the pronoun he, him. I live at 4320 Francis Street. I am 15 and a member of the high school GSA. I think that this trans policy is very important due to the fact that I am trans and I've experienced a lot of bullying and harassment at the school since middle school. And I didn't feel like very safe coming to school anymore. I got called slurs, I got dead names intentionally, and I felt very stressful going into the boys' room, going very, very stressful about having gym. And I think that this would provide very equal rights for everyone at the school. I thank you for hearing me. I have a really short speech because I'm stressed. I'm asking for you to support and advocate for the Pittsburgh Public School District trans policy to make it our own and adapt it. Thank you.
My name is Joe Billick. I live on 2209 Wharton Boulevard. I'm in the high school GSA and I'm 14. LGBT is a phrase that people might bring difficult thoughts to people. Whether it be religion or just ideas, we have to come to the conclusion they're people too. Today I'm bringing up the letter T, transgender. Someone who is transgender is the opposite sex of what they were assigned to at birth. Cisgender people, or people that identify with the gender they were born at birth, wouldn't understand what they go through. People who are transgender deserve the same rights as anyone else. The way we'd like to solve this problem is by adopting the Pittsburgh Public School District policy. This is the Pittsburgh Public School Transgender plus Gender Expansive Student Non-Discrimination Policy. With this policy, we could solve problems better that fall into these certain categories. For example, paragraph 17 is sex-specific facilities. This paragraph explains that people identified with as a certain gender can use the facilities as the gender they identify as. If a transgender male student needed to use a facility, he could use the men's room. Now I leave you with Now I leave this for you all. If you would put yourself in the situation of one of these students, how would you feel? Thank you.
I do apologize if I stutter. I'm nervous. Good evening. My name is H. Miles Flurry. My pronouns are she, they. I'm 14 years old, a member of the Gay Straight Alliance, and I live at 1223 Crawford Avenue. Today, I would like to speak on a factor that is well overlooked in any situation dealing with bullying. This would be isolation, specifically social isolation. This will be the experience of being separated from everyone else, not just in school, but anywhere and everywhere. Almost as if you were stuck hiding in a corner, afraid of the constant judgment and negativity. People giving you the side eye, people muttering something under their breaths, and even just avoiding you completely will make not only you but anyone else scared to just be themselves. This would even lead into mental illnesses such as anxiety and depression. As far as the problem being discussed today, transgender and gender expensive students like myself are not able to express ourselves as people tend to avoid us like we're the plague. This happens on a day-to-day basis. A major inconvenience for gender expensive and transgender students is that there are no available locker rooms to help them avoid the problems in the current locker rooms we have. During the period of time I had gym, I had to use the female locker room. I walked in thinking I could just get changed for gym, but the girls in the locker room decided it was best to avoid me, as if I was going to touch them in an inappropriate way of some sort. Mind you, I just wanted to get ready for gym, but instead it hurt me so much that I started feeling like I couldn't get near anyone. I started thinking that everyone felt that way. I even thought, I can't express myself now, or was there no way around this? Unfortunately, no, there were no ways around this. This continued happening in and out of gym. Same problems, different people. One person whispers something completely out of context to the next, and this vicious cycle continues, and this would even cause physical violence. People need to remember that no matter what you identify as, you are still a human being. And as humans, yes, we all bleed, but it would be nice not to see bloodshed from hatred towards our transgender and gender expensive peers. So based upon my experience, I strongly ask you for your support in adopting the Pittsburgh Public School transgender non-discrimination policy. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Simon Kate Smith. My pronouns are he, him. I live on 108 Mountaineer Lane. I'm a senior student, 17 years old, and I'm new to this school. I was homeschooled until 6th grade, then had gone to a middle and high school in West Virginia. I moved to Pennsylvania in the January of 2019. For the last semester of my 10th grade year, I attended a high school in Butler, and then moved over to West Mifflin in the summer. None of these high schools have the policy in question. Moving to Pennsylvania had its perks. No one knew me, and I didn't have to tell anyone anything about me. Leaving and coming to Butler was a miracle. However, the experiences in my past left me scarred and afraid to open myself up again. I did not come out there. Though it proved to be better than my previous school, it was still no place for students who deviated from what society considers normal, straight, cisgendered, and white. Slurs, insults, and threats were thrown left and right. Nobody was doing anything about it. Nobody even brought it up. Starting school at West Mifflin was better, but not by much. I still look around and see many of the same things I saw previously: slurs, insults, and threats. Because for these first few months I've elected to keep mostly to myself, none of these things have been directed towards me, but I've seen them be directed towards my friends. I've heard people talk beside me about how they want to get rid of this new gender movement and all the people involved. I've seen people laugh off about how another trans person was murdered and joke in poor taste about how it should be more. The few transgender students I knew among all three of these schools have had relatively the same experiences. They all felt uncomfortable and unsafe in their environments. Teachers have either made no accommodations for them or tried but didn't know what to do. These students were harassed in bathrooms, locker rooms, classes, hallways, and buses. This behavior isn't only targeted towards a few people. Every transgender person I've known of has gone through this. This could lead to things such as dropping grades and frequent absences in school, reclusiveness and depression outside of school. In the worst of situations, suicidal thoughts arise. We give up. We stop caring. For many transgender students, the simple idea of having a policy in place that represents them and their needs might be the thing that gets them going back to school, to get them to stop canceling plans in order to stay in bed, or it could be the very thing that saves their lives. Unfortunately, this behavior isn't only seen in schools and among other teenagers. Depending on whether the student decides to openly show that they are transgender, the student could experience social struggles outside of school, even in their homes and among family. Physical, verbal, and emotional abuse is uncommon. For this reason, many students choose to stay in the closet or keep their true identity secret from their parents or legal guardians. Because these students are subject to these circumstances, the most important part of implementing this policy is getting adequate training for staff. The littlest mistake, even a well-meaning one, could have huge consequences for the students in and outside of school. A transgender student in the locker room of the gender they most identify as without extra security could be beaten and bullied to a point where they don't feel comfortable even participating in gym class. On the other hand, a transgender student forced into the locker room of their assigned sex could yield similar results. At home, consequences could be even worse if the student is avid to an uncaring or misguided family. Middle and high school age students have been kicked out of their houses or abused and neglected. As educators, one of the most important tasks you take upon yourself is the safety of students. With the correct training, these stresses and obstacles can be taken off of students to provide a safe and fun learning environment. I'm graduating in only a few months. I won't get to see the effects of this policy play out in the future, at least not closely. But I hope that if I ever come back to visit, I'll get to see my trans and non-binary siblings feel a safety and comfort I've not gotten to feel in any of my schools, even if it's just for a bit. For many of these students, the safety and representation they will feel because of this policy will be the only sense of protection and acceptance they'll get. Thank you for your time, and I'm hopeful you'll lend us the support we need.
Hello, I'm Alexander Collins, and my pronouns are he/they. I live at 350 Lebanon School Road. I'm a 7th grader and a member of the Gay Student Alliance. Most homophobic occurrences happen in school for students, if not all of them. Personally, I've seen and experienced around 30 occurrences of people saying things about each other. On a daily basis, I will get 2 to 3 comments asking who I was before or saying something rude or offensive. Every day, other kids and I are called BS slurs solely because of how we act or what we do normally. Most kids fear telling an adult because the kids who do these things don't face consequences like we normally do because the staff don't know how to handle these things. Personally, I've been harassed, kicked, punched, hit, and more, along with being called the S-slur, tranny, Q-slur, and I've been bullied online. Except not much has been done to the people who do this, and they just get yelled at. But really, that's not doing anything to stop this harassment. Instead, it's making them want to continue because someone snitched. This bullying has caused kids to hate coming to school, hate going anywhere because this bullying severely affects their mental health and lowers their self-esteem to a point where sometimes the only solution they see is suicide, and that's not okay. This policy would help everyone, transgender or not, to make everyone more happier and make the district a safer and more enjoyable place for all. Thank you for your time and for your support of the transgender/gender experiences student non-discrimination policy that will guarantee that all West Mifflin students will have an equal opportunity for success.
Good evening. My name is Laura Ackerman. I'm speaking tonight not as a school district employee, but as a mom of a transgender daughter. My daughter Jessica graduated from West Mifflin in 2013. She received an academic scholarship to Duquesne University and graduated in 2017. Jess is now 24 years old and is employed as a program analyst for a highly respected company in the Harrisburg area. Our daughter told me and her dad that she was transgender on December 8th, 2018. My first question to her was, are you safe? Being safe means that she did not want to hurt herself in any way. Jess knew what I was asking of her. I waited for her to answer, unable to breathe, afraid of what that question and what the answer would be. This is a question that I'd asked her many times over the years. Yes, Mom, I'm safe. Okay, I can breathe again. That day was the start of my transgender education in helping my daughter in any way possible to become comfortable with who she truly is. My love and support of my daughter is unconditional. My child has been struggling with the secret for over 10 years, 10 long, arduous years. It was during these times that I asked the "Are we safe?" question too many times. Her secret was affecting her whole being. Bouts of depression, withdrawal from friends, withdrawal from family at times, and in just his own words, a persistent feeling of absence. How would you feel when you find out that your child struggled for 10 years? 10 years of trying to cope with his secret by himself. Years of not being able to be herself. As her mom, I was heartbroken and sad, not for the fact that she's transgender, for her losing 10 years of happiness. Yes, who researches anything and everything to the nth degree, knew that West Mifflin did not have any transgender policies in place to protect her. She came out during her school years. No protection from bullying, mental, physical abuse, discrimination, and the like, not only from fellow students, but also from district employees. No clear consequences for those who committed these infractions against any transgender person. This knowledge was, in part, the impetus for Jess to continue to guard her secret during her middle and high school years. 10 years. She's only 24. 10 years of her life. How would you feel if it was your son, your daughter, your family member, or your friend? Would you want them to struggle? Do you want them to suffer? No. Had a transgender non-discrimination policy been in effect during Jessica's school years here, she may have been able to voice her secret sooner, knowing that the district was behind her to protect her, to ensure a safe school environment, to encourage her to be herself. West Mifflin schools cannot continue to let transgender students down. We cannot let them struggle alone as my daughter did in school. We can and must do better. Thank you all for your time and attention tonight. I respectfully ask for your support for the transgender and expansive student non-discrimination policy that will guarantee that all of our West Mifflin students will have an equal opportunity for success. Thank you.
Hi, Todd Kennedy, President of 28th Avenue. I'm speaking here though as a West Mifflin teacher and as the middle school GSA sponsor. The group is new this year, and during the first meeting, what the kids shared with me was stunning. The issues that they shared, that they're going through, stunned me. The things that are happening in my school, under my nose, that I'm unaware of, stunned me. Imagine being a child and going from one class to another class and being called a different name. Imagine being a child going from one period to another period and being referred to as a different gender. Imagine being a child having one adult tell you, use this bathroom, and another adult say, you must use this bathroom. That is traumatizing, and it's unacceptable. It's happening because as educators, we don't know what's appropriate. We do not know what's expected of us. These are issues as a teacher I have never been faced with before. If as GSA sponsor, I don't always know what the appropriate way to handle the situation is, how do you expect the rest of the staff to know? They don't.
because they're not educated. I think the most important part of my job isn't teaching kids the capital of the city or a timeline. The most important job I have as an educator is making these students feel safe, making them feel respected, making them feel supported. They don't feel that. They don't feel that because the staff doesn't know how to address these situations. What do I say when I call home? What name do I use? What pronoun do I use? It varies from teacher to teacher, and that's traumatic. It varies because we don't know what's appropriate. My job is to make them feel safe. My job is to build relationships and earn their trust. If a student trusts me, they'll work for me. If a student trusts me, they'll try to please me. If a student doesn't trust me, there's not much I can do with them. And these students don't trust us because we don't understand them. We don't understand them because we are not given the tools. We don't know what's appropriate in these situations. This policy helps us because it enumerates things. It's specific. It tells everybody what's appropriate, what's not. If this policy is enacted, it protects the district. It protects the staff because we all know what's appropriate. We all know what's expected. We all know what these students' rights are. We all know what we need to do to earn their trust, earn their respect, and let them know where they're supporting them. And most importantly, this policy protects children who desperately need it. They need this protection. They're not getting it without this policy. And I've seen it firsthand because they're coming to me with problems and I'm addressing them. I'm not an administrator. I shouldn't be in a position of telling a teacher, you're doing this isn't appropriate. You should be addressing the kid this way. It's not my place. And as school board members, you shouldn't want me to be the person telling teachers these things because I'm not their boss. They need this policy for their protection. And that's why I'm asking you guys to please support the transgender, gender expansive student non-discrimination policy that will guarantee that all West Mifflin students have equal opportunity for success. Thank you for your time.
Was that the last speaker? Alicia, was that the last speaker? I just want to thank you guys as a group. Thank you really for your courage, trying to speaking for all.
Can you speak on mic, please? Yeah.
As I was saying, I just want to thank all of you for coming here this evening and really demonstrating the courage to really talk about something that we all need an education about. And I think you've done a great job. And I think you're going about this in a really excellent way to try to get something done on your behalf. I think you're actually educating all of us, and I would be surprised if there's not going to be more dialogue that's going to happen amongst this board as far as the direction that we need to go. So again, I thank you all. I can't be more proud of all of you that spoke here tonight. And again, it really makes me be proud of being the acting superintendent for the West Mifflin Area School District. So thank you again.
Mrs. Gladden?
Janice Glavin, 3226 Virginia Avenue. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'm here to speak about the school bus incident that has been in the news regarding a fight on a school bus and police being called to that bus and the incident that ensued that has put video as well as news reports into the community. I only became aware of this situation yesterday after reading articles and seeing TV news reports. That saddens me because this is my community. And it hurts to see our police, our students in a violent news story that has become all too frequent occurrence. I understand this is still being litigated and investigated. However, I am concerned that the violent nature of this police interaction can have severe emotional and traumatic impact on all of the children that were on that bus. While I know Dr. Hoover told KDKA News that the student arrested connected with the officer's chin, I am still concerned that that required the level of response seen in the video. She is a child. I hope the district is taking action to provide emotional support for all of the children that witnessed the incident on their bus that day. Unfortunately, kids fight. Bullying and fighting among our students has been a persistent complaint and concern for our parents and our students. But it is up to adults and those in authority to have strategies to stop the violence and to provide a more measured response. A violent response is not the answer. It does not quell their violent tendencies. This board and administration must develop procedures that will indeed ensure a more measured response. I hope the district will provide information to our students on how to interact with the police. We do not want to see a child permanently injured or even killed because they didn't zip it or attempted to pull away. Thank you. And I was just handed a pamphlet that is available, You and the Police, Rights, Responsibilities, and Realities. It really is a good pamphlet for teaching students how to interact. I'll make sure you get copies. I believe our school and borough officers work hard to serve our community, and I call on them to have more patience, allow more time to de-escalate, and recognize the age, weight, size, and emotional development when engaging children. It continues to grieve me that our community continues to garner negative press. Thank you.
Mrs. Domestic?
Diane Stanesek, 2803 Glenny Lane Extension. During the audit summary, would have been nice to have up on the TV screen, but she did state that we had a $1.6 million reduction in the fund balance, but never gave us what the fund balance actually is today. The other question I have is, she mentioned funds being transferred to the construction fund. If we had those bonds that were taken out, where has all that money been used, or is the money being transferred to the construction account being used appropriately? On page 2, under informational items C, I certainly do thank Paul Fisher and Storing Services for their donation towards the creation of the STEM lab, but, and I know you all think this is sarcastic, but we spent $400 and some thousand on a Jumbotron, and why was that not budgeted? And why do we have to rely on a donation to help create a STEM lab at Homeville? I think that's kind of inappropriate. Bullying. I get up here quite often because I have great nieces and nephews in the school district, and under B on finance, number 1, the $40,000 grant. I think we need to do some really serious work with that money on getting rid of the bullying in this school district. Every day, my niece at the middle school tells me things that are happening. It's a disgrace. It's appalling. Girls getting beat up in the ladies' room, or for whatever reason. It should not be happening. I don't know what the police force up there is doing. Doesn't seem like very much. We have additional security guards. Why is this going on? These kids that are caught bullying need to be suspended or whatever punishment. They're hurting our children. Another question I have under refunds subtracted from expenditures. On page 5 at the very, very bottom, where was there a lightning strike? At the stadium? Okay. Now, the one other comment that I had was that there's been posts out on Facebook about things that are going on at home. Kids not being able to get to the bathrooms and stuff like that. We do need to consider that there are special needs kids, some of whom are not potty trained. That, yes, if they're waiting in line, more likely, yes, their diapers or pull-ups are soiled. We need that to take that into consideration. But if there's an ongoing issue where there's lines and kids, inadvertently have an accident because they've been waiting so long, please address it. Now, getting to addressing the situation, I find out that apparently an email was sent to administration stating that a board member was going up to Homeville to check out the situation and invited a second school board member, which was Mr. Marshall and Aaron White. Now, Mr. Marshall had his wife with him. I understand, but he had his wife with him, okay? She does not have clearances to
Yes,
be
she
in the
does.
school. It doesn't matter. She's a resident. So keep your mouth shut. She's a resident and does not belong in a school.
She's not a felon. Write that down.
Excuse me?
That's a, we're gonna end that here, so.
Listen,
We're not.
I want him sanctioned because I'm tired of him doing that in public.
Don't stop at my house
stating-
and harass my wife anymore.
That's enough. That's enough.
I don't want any board members' spouses going to the school. They don't belong there.
Well,
To go investigate
residents of
things.
this community, if they go through the proper channels to.
So I'm gonna call up and ask Dr. Hoover if I can go, at the middle school.
You can't be spending a day.
Why? I wanna see what's going on with the bullying
If there is
situation.
a reason for somebody to be there, she was not in the building doing anything wrong. She
Can't
was
hear you,
her
sir.
husband as a board member that, I'm sorry. Mr. Marshall and Mrs. White went to the facility because of complaints that they had heard on Facebook that weren't true. But they were trying to do what you could say that you want them to do. You want them to get involved. You want to find out what's wrong. When they go to find out what's wrong, then that's no good. Unfortunately, you and Mr. Marshall have some personal issues that you need to handle outside of this boardroom. All it does, Mr. Nezik, all it does
I'm just
is
making a
causes
statement.
problems.
Because people complained that why is a non-board member there? Was proper notification given?
It was. Everything
How
was
mu-
done properly.
Was it done in a day, the day of the visit, or what?
Mrs. Stanesik, no matter what Mr. Marshall does, pro or con, to this district, you're going to find a reason to be critical of it. If you and he have these issues, please handle them outside the boardroom. We're trying to do positive things here. Well, that's fine. We're trying to do positive things here. Both of these board members took their afternoon or their morning, I'm not sure what time of the day it was, went through the appropriate channels with the administration, went through the building with the administration, and found none of the things that there were complaints of to be accurate. They're trying to do, I mean, we have administrators that are working very hard in our buildings, trying to make good things happen here appropriately, trying to educate our children, trying to do good things. That's what we need to keep trying to work forward, not to come and be critical because now a board member went and you don't want them to go. They went through
I
and
didn't
looked
say I
at it.
didn't want them to go.
They
Don't put
followed-
words in my
They
mouth.
followed the appropriate process that was going. We
Well, they
appreciate
also
your
need to
concern.
keep in mind that once the gavel ends at the end of the meeting, they have no authority. Their authority is voting here at the meeting.
But their board members are entitled to go
I
get
understand
information
that.
where they can make good decisions. If the things that were alleged were accurate, okay, those would be a travesty for this district, for any student, for those type of things to happen to them. They were making sure that they weren't. They were trying to get information where they could answer questions to this community at board.
Fine, let me respond to you in a positive way, and I apologize. I'm gonna say why I went. I read horrific things online, horrible things. Through Dr. Hoover's permission, which I always did, even when I was president, I would always clear with Dr. Hoover when I would go into any building. And I'm not there to spy. I'm there to see if kids are peeing all over the place, like I read online, and nobody cares. And I walked away after Aaron and I walked around for a half hour. We walked into the basement. We walked over here. We walked up to the music room. We talked about the size of it. And I walked away feeling more positive about that school because of Mr. Campana and Mr. Hanna, because of the plans and the success they had so far, and how some of this stuff is getting twisted into political stuff. That I also met with a couple of board members. I want to hear the real concerns, not the political stuff where I'm getting attacked personally. I can be easily found if you want to attack me personally. But when it comes to the kids in this district and what we're doing at home, because we don't make our votes based on what happens in Clara Barton and what happens at Homeville. Why does Clara Barton have a STEM lab and we're sort of behind on that? I would vote in a second for the STEM lab, because the one reason I voted to close Emerson was that every kid would have a fair, it would be fair for everybody, not, oh, I'm sending my kids over to Clara Barton because it's better. And I have my faith in what Dr. Hoover's done, Mr. Solomon's done, Mr. Hanna's done, Mr. Campana's done, and they're all the staff. I felt empowered from walking around. Now, my wife, what should I do? Tell my wife, who's not a convicted felon, to walk around with me?
Seriously.
People attack my wife. That's what
Let's
I
just
would
end
do.
that. Let's, can we just,
Can
this
you
is not
just,
being a
I
positive.
think, apologize for saying
Well,
that.
I apologize, but
There are people here that don't know my gambling history, and that is very offensive.
well, my wife is a great person who was involved in everything our kid went through, including the PTA. So she's not a bad person.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
But I think at the end of the day, I walked away feeling we need to empower.
Mr. Marshall, can we move on?
Well, that we need to communicate more with the PTA.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Thompson?
Harry Thompson, 6679 Adams Avenue. First, all you guys, please remember, pull your mics to your mouth when you're talking, because there's certain parts we can't hear. It's really tough back there, okay? So appreciate everybody using their mic if they can. It makes it so much easier for us to hear. Second, on G invoices, I think it is, H, G and H. G for Zero, Meta, and Canvas, $15,971. I see this for the last quarter. What does that particularly tank? Is that still part of the
Ongoing litigation.
for the hearing? Okay.
Anything in addition to, at this point, that's the only other matter in addition to our flat rate.
Yes.
Is the ongoing litigation that we're involved.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure what that was. Can't understand what some of this like that. Secondly, the H with the tax collector. Is that Whitter's tax collector? Okay. And then I have one minor comment. Everybody wants you to legislate how people can think and stuff like that. You can't force people with legislation or anything else to think a certain way. Now, you understand, I'm talking about the gay, lesbian, transsexuals. You can't force them to think a certain way. It's impossible. But here's my thing too. If they have a problem, go up and each one personally go and talk to the teachers, tell them what they'd like to be called, stuff like that. Talk to each teacher, be able to voice your opinion and talk. I used to be afraid to talk. Now I could care less what people think about me. I talk. And they have to get like that too. I don't care what other people think or say. Now the fighting and stuff like that isn't good. But as far as trying to force people to think a certain way, we never legislate that, no matter what you do. But any kind of effort would, might help out. Like I said, they have to learn to tell the teachers what they'd like to be called or what name or whatever and stuff like that. And the teachers will understand, I believe. You may need a policy still, but if they talk to everybody and explain to them what they think, it's easier when you tell people what you're thinking and they can tell you what they're thinking. So anyhow, that's my piece. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Bennett.
100 Palm Avenue. First off, I just want to thank each and every one of you for everything you do. It's a thankless job. I appreciate it. That being said, I came to talk about the problem on the bus that was in the news and the gay and lesbian group. It made me think. They're combined. They're connected. We got enough policies. Every child needs to be protected. Not the gays, not the blacks, not the whites, not the browns, not the fat, not the skinny. We already have policies in place that we're not protecting our kids. I go to work every day worried about my 2 girls in that middle school, just so I can come home and make sure they're safe. Everybody reads Facebook, everybody reads Twitter. In the middle of the afternoon, I got to read on Facebook that somebody got jumped in the girls' room. We already have policies in place. We need to give the teachers some more responsibility, more unhandcuff them. Let them discipline these kids. The kids that were fighting on the bus should not be allowed on the bus anymore. The kids that were fighting in the bathroom should be allowed in school for a few days. There's no retribution for these kids the way they act. And it starts at home. And with the thing on the bus, I just want to say, it's not up to you guys to teach kids how to act around police. It's up to their parents. This starts at home. So please, I just want you guys to help me keep my kids safe and enact the policies that we already have. Thank you.
Mr. Jazinski? Yes.
Paul Plazonsky, 9764 Jeopardy Lane. At the last meeting, I had requested that the board.
Before we get started, we need your correct name and address.
Mickey Flynn, 13.
We'll give you one more opportunity, or you'll just be not allowed to.
I can't hear you. Could you speak into the
Yeah,
microphone, please?
you have one more opportunity to state your correct name and address, or your privilege will be revoked.
Again?
Yeah, you heard what I said. So
All
what's
right,
your correct name and address, sir?
Jim Jason, 4100 Home Street.
Jim, excuse me?
He said Jim Jazinski.
At the last meeting, I had made a comment to the board about getting legislators, Courts or Austin Davis here to speak about the school tax bipartisan meetings that are going on in Harrisburg, which hopefully will cut down on our the resident school tax. Was there anything done about that, or was it just, blown aside? Somebody's microphone got to work.
Did Austin say he was gonna come? I don't know. And with Representative Courts' retirement, that also.
But he's still a representative now.
I would suggest.
Austin Davis was on the committees.
I would suggest that you call both of their offices and ask them personally if they would
I spoke with Austin Davis, and he said it was up to the board. But didn't anybody on the board follow up? No. Okay, let me move on. Has anything done with the programs and the purchasing of the computers and the entire IT system? It would seem that in the last budget, there was an awful lot of overruns and duplications of the programs. Again, that was brought up, and I was wondering if anything was done on that.
Do you have a specific question? I don't think that.
Well, the question was, is anything being done? Are you instigating or implementing any type of programs to offset some of the costs? In other words, are you double purchasing? Are you overlying your programs?
No, I mean, there's no double purchasing. We have a new technology director that just started, and he's reviewing technology with the administration, but never were we double buying items. We were the district was purchasing what they felt was needed.
We provide the name. When did we get a new IT person? It's never been on the agenda.
Affirm. At the last meeting in December, at the reorganization, there was a firm hired to handle that.
For 6 months.
That's correct.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank
The
you.
name of the firm, please?
For
That's my
business.
mother. For business.
Of course.
That's my mother, but.
At the last Pennsylvania Auditor General's audit and recommendations for West Mifflin School District, there was 2 items that he strongly advised to the board. One was not refinancing, and the other was not borrowing anymore. Has any of that been taken into consideration?
I mean, again, I'm not sure you're talking about refinancing bonds that were, due.
Well, the last Auditor General's report, I believe, was 2017, or it may have been 2016. But anyway, his recommendations to the board was do not refinance. I think what you've done, and borrow.
We've done that too.
Yes, I understand that. Now, please take. I'm most grateful to each and every one of you board members because you haven't raised taxes, and I believe that your balance is approximately 2.1 or 2.2 million dollars, which I think that's good compared to what it was, say, 3 or 4 years ago. Okay, yeah. But my point is, have you done anything? Have you taken into consideration the Attorney General's actions? And can we get Courts or Davis here next meeting?
I'll call them both.
Thank you very much.
Joe, just, we didn't get the answer. Mrs. Smith had a couple. Could you tell us what our fund balance is? She asked for that. Do you have that information?
Yeah, the audit is not complete or finalized, but it's going to be around $2.1 million.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, that concludes our hearing to the citizens. Information items.
Thank you, Mr. President. Information item A, the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee donated $534 to the Highmark Caring Place on behalf of the district. Thank you to the students and staff for their support and involvement in raising awareness of National Grief Awareness Day. Information item B, State Representative Bill Corbus has donated his cost of living allowance fund since 2011 to the public schools in the 38th legislative district instead of sending it to the state treasury. This year, he has donated $212 to each of his 6 public school districts. Information item C. Thank you to Paul A. Fisher Insurance Services, LLC, for donating $2,000 towards the creation of a STEM lab at Humville Elementary.
Mr. Sullivan, sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Fisher's in the audience. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, or I know you brought some new information to the board this week that maybe you want to speak on.
Yes, thank you for a moment of your time. We'll make this brief. In addition to the $2,000 we've donated, we also were able to get our workman's compensation carrier to select West Mifflin as one of 23 schools that are going to be eligible for a college scholarship to seniors this year. There'll be 2 college scholarships that will be delivered in the 2020 season. The paperwork will go through the guidance counselor. There's a formal application that needs to be submitted. These will be 2 $5,000 scholarships that will be cash money. So the student can use the money in any which way he or she feels necessary to make their college experience better. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, West Mifflin Area School District has been selected by the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Office for Safe Schools to receive a 2019-20 Safe Schools Targeted School Police Officer Grant in the amount of $40,000. Item E, congratulations to Ms. Sharna Baker, middle school principal, and Mr. Kevin Coker, middle school social studies STEM teacher, for securing a PA Smart targeted grant in the amount of $35,000 for the district for the 2019-20 school year. These funds will be used to expand computer science classes and teacher training. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. Board Secretary, Business Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd respectfully ask for a motion and a second and approval on the following items. Number A, Board of Directors, 1 through 5 on pages 2 and 3. I'd like to note that item number 2 has been modified to include Debbie Costelnick as the alternate representative. And number 4 was recently added to authorize the solicitor to obtain an appraisal of New Emerson Elementary School.
Motion. Second. Motion by Mrs. Taylor, second by Mr. Mattis. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kostelnick,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that motion passed 8-0. Item 5B under finance, number 1 through 3 on page 3.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costello.
Second.
Second by Mr. Marshall. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to add that item number 3 was added. That's board approval of a transfer of $137,297.30 from the construction fund to the capital projects fund to be used for the final payment of the athletic complex improvement projects.
How much is left in the construction fund? For the, is that what I'm asking?
Yeah, the construction fund balance, with all future payments, will have about $1.7 million left in that. And I will provide, Mrs. White asked for that information. I'll provide that in the weekly report tomorrow to all board members.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kostelnick,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that motion passed on an 8-0 vote. Item 5C, purchasing and contracting, numbers 1 through 3 on page 3.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blazevich. Any questions or comments?
Dr. Hoover and Ms. Snyder, is that $40,000 and then but it can be spent?
I believe it has to go to $6, for it offsets.
That offsets. Yeah.
Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kostelnick,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote. Item 5D, minutes, number 1.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stelnick, second by Mr. Marshall. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kostelnick,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote. Item 5E, reports, numbers 1 through 5 on pages 4 and 5.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mr. Alexandrov. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got you out of order. Hold on. Engler,
Yes.
Kostelnick,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote. Item 5F, refund subtracted from expenditures, number 1 and 2 on pages 5 and 6.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Mr. Blazevich. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Pistelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote. Items 5G invoices number 1 through 6, which includes the P cards on pages 6 and 7. There were a couple additions to that. Our solicitor's December bill came in. That's item F. Our fourth quarter services bill came in. That's item G. Payment for the postage and the second and third installments for the taxes for 2019 from our Whitaker tax collector came in. That's item H. And the final payment for the sports complex, which is made payable to Vasco Sports Contractors, application number 6. That's item 2A.
Any, or, on the motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Alexandrov,
Second.
second by Mr. Mattis. Any questions or comments?
So on 2A, does that cover the work that was done in the agri-natural field and the tennis court?
That is the final payment of whatever was included in the athletic complex. So that project was officially done. The engineers did the final walkthrough, or I'm sorry, the architects did the final walkthrough. There were no punch items left undone, so that represents final payment. And that project will, after we mail the check, will be closed.
Thank you.
And that, Mr. Esper, is the turf and the tennis court.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
Yeah, I would assume,
Okay,
yeah.
the turf, the truck.
I wasn't around when that project started,
Okay.
so, yeah, everything was included in it.
we have motions, right? Correct.
Yes, we did.
Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes, except for 2A.
Castelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, all items passed on an 8-0 vote, with the exception of item 2A, which passed on a 7-1 vote. Item 5H, numbers 1 and 2 on page 7.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ahern,
Second.
second by Mrs. Engler. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Castelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, all items passed on an 8-0 vote, and that so concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Esper. District Operations?
Yes, Mr. President, under District Operations, I'm asking for a motion second approval for letter A, B, and C. A and B were on last week, with the freshman sophomore trip to, the Football Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cedar Point, and B was the Waynesburg trip. New this, on this agenda is the proposal for the Titan Marching Band to go to, Florida for their, biennial trip.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Castelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes. Superintendent's report?
Yes, Mr. President, under Superintendent's report, I'm asking for a motion second approval for 7B1 and 2. 7B1 is student activities, 7B2 is student fundraising activities, and then also 7C1, which are the building permits.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Castelnik,
Second.
second by Mr. Blazevich. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Castelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, items line 6 and 7 both passed on an 8-0 vote.
Board President's correspondence, there is none at this time. Professional personnel?
Yes, Mr. President, under professional personnel, I'm asking for a motion second approval for 9A, 1 through 3, which are the leaves of absence, 9D1, which are the hirings, and 9E1, which is other.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Alexandrov.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blazevich. Any comments or questions?
On item D1, I just want to confirm that this reflects the actual compensation Mr. Esper had as acting assistant business manager. There's been no net increase.
There is not.
No.
It's the same. We have, there were two, the assistant business manager agreement, and then received the payment for being the board secretary. We put that all into one package, and the title contains both of them, and the compensation is what it was originally. We just put it into one.
The board secretary is what Mr. Smart had, and we voted.
That's correct.
Joe in. Okay, thank you.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engel, DeSenza.
Yes.
Next one,
That's
sorry,
all right.
guys. Kistelnik,
Yes, second day on the job.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
and DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote.
Non-certified personnel.
Yes, Mr. President, under non-certified personnel, I'm asking for a motion second approval 10A 1 through 3, which are leaves of absence, 10B 1 through 4, which are resignations, and 10D 1 and 2, which are hiring and transfer.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ahern. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kistelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote.
Thanks. Congratulations, Mrs. Barbara.
Thank you.
Yeah, just want to take a quick minute, congratulate Meg Arbusat, he's now going to be moving over to a confidential administrative assistant. I think we're all very pleased and happy and looking forward to working with her.
Athletic personnel.
Yes, Mr. President, under athletic personnel, I'm asking for a motion second approval for 11C 1 through 4, which are resignations, and 11C1, which are hiring.
So I have a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Alexandrov.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blazevich. Any questions or comments?
A parent whose daughter was coached by Mr. Yashenka for 2 years stinks to see him leave because of how much respect the girls had for him and how much he cared about the girls, but obviously he decided to move in another direction. He did an absolute excellent job as an assistant girls soccer coach in high school.
Mike, please.
Sorry, I was saying.
I know, you don't have to repeat it.
Yeah. But we lost a great assistant soccer coach.
Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kistelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote.
Substitutes.
Yep, Mr. President, I'm asking for a motion second approval for 12A, which is a non-instructional application for substitutes.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Kistelnik.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Ahern. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kistelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote.
Conferences.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm asking for a motion second approval for 13A, which is conferences, I believe it's about 22 or 23 on the list.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Ahern.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Engler. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
Alexandrov,
Yes.
Blazevich,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Kistelnik,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Mr. President, that passed on an 8-0 vote.
Executive session discussion. We discussed litigation and personnel, board reports, committees.
There was no Steel Center meeting in January. There'll be one in February.
We had a finance committee meeting. was Mrs. Ahern's first, and she's already making sure nothing gets past her. So it was very positive meeting. And thanks, Joe, for
I could drive myself crazy with those details.
that's why you're on that committee. Every little penny.
We had a buildings and grounds meeting and a safety meeting. Aaron wanted me to give you some of what percentage everything is at. At Clara Barton, the high school, and Homeville, the PA systems are at 100%. The middle school is at 20%. Clara Barton, the high school, the middle school, Homeville, and the stadium, door prop alarms are at 95%. Door prop alarm is if you leave the door open a little too long, the camera will focus in on you rather quickly. Clara Barton is at 45% of cooling to the gym. The high school is at 65% in cooling to the gym. Homeville is at 80% in cooling to the gym. The projected time for the air conditioning to be done at Homeville is in the summertime. The Blue Point system is complete. Baldwin EMS has been trained. Dr. Hoover will roll it out officially on Monday. What's that is? Field house, the ball field sound system is at 100%. In phase one, cameras at the high school, stadium, and field house are at 100%. We got our key cards up and running by about 99.9%. What you say, Sam?
A little lower than that.
98%. Okay. On the safety meeting, we talked about the police and guards at buildings, wanting late kids coming in the buildings. Joe Gatis has made some new signs for the event, so if you see them, stop and read them. And I'm going to throw this over to Johnny because Johnny is an officer at Humboldt Fire Hall, and they talked about walking the buildings at the high school.
Yeah, we're gonna get more involved this year. We have a new chief in Homeville. We cover our first two districts is Homeville Elementary, the middle school, and the high school. We're gonna get very familiarized with the layout. A lot of new guys coming into the company, so everything operates smoothly, and we'll be more involved in fire drills. That way, everyone's on the same page going forward.
Thanks, John.
Can you reach out to the fire hall?
Yeah, and I'll reach out to the south end so that Clara Barton is also covered out on that end.
Okay, you were at the meeting. Do you have anything to add?
It was a very productive meeting. I thank Chief Richard and Mr. Gatis and Dr. Hoover for make recommendations to make sure these kids are as safe as possible.
Okay, Gina, you do have anything? No. Okay, that ends my report.
Anyone else?
Yeah, under policy meeting, I know we had a group come speak with us tonight. I've been in contact with Ms. Welsh before. It's been a policy committee. I'll get in contact with her again, the solicitors, and the committee will meet at some point in the near future and continue our discussion and see what we can do with that policy going forward.
Part of the technology committee, it's funny how my mic doesn't work. Maybe that says something. No, I think it's good. I think it's working now. I just have to be right over top of it. In my mouth. Anyway, so a quick update on technology committee meeting. We met on the 14th of January. We've completed the contract with Ford Business Machines to bring on a new IT director through the rest of this school year. We had a very long, eventful, content-filled meeting talking about expectations of this new person, onboarding them, giving them kind of the lay of the land, and then setting forth our and my expectations of their responsibilities and how we would like them to operate within the school district and within our current staff. It's very important for me in particular because they will be coming in as a contractor but responsible for staff. So we have a relatively decent skeleton of a plan in place, and we've set forth scheduled meetings every month throughout the rest of the school year. So those should be showing up at least on the website and online. So I plan to bring here updates on our progress moving forward.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, solicitors report.
We have no report for public session this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Chief of Police.
Good evening. You guys hear me okay? Okay, I'm happy to see that we got the $40,000 grant from state schools. We have a couple more in the works. We have a $40,000 PCCD grant. We're waiting to hear on that. That's a meritorious grant. We should get that just for applying. And then we have another grant that we're looking at. It's the Part A that goes with it. It's over $400,000 we're asking for. So we're really crossing our fingers for that one. New on the horizon is the BJA grant, and that's a Stop School Violence grant. They're actually funding different software for us. As I said in our safety meeting, that we're going to be required to have monthly meetings with our threat assessment teams, and we're going to have software that helps track it, along with the Act 44 requirements. The software also helps us to track our fire alarm drills and things of that nature. So that's really going to be good. And so I'll be writing that grant for that software. We have another COP micro grant program that will fund our police academy, student police academy. And so basically what that'll do is it'll offset the money that we use for buying t-shirts and things like that. And along with that, we have our DARE program. We can buy books and stuff like that. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'll be looking to write that. And, upcoming will be the graduation from our Student Police Academy, and that should be in a couple of months. I've asked the board to recognize those students for completing the program. Had a lot of fun with it. We're going to bring it back next year. We're going to bring it to the high school. Those are all the community outreach things that we're looking to do. We're asking everybody to come and stop our tables. We have a double table this year. A lot of things, pens and pencils, stuff like that. The DARE officer will be there. Our Student Police Academy kids will be there participating, handing out the National Crime Prevention materials that we printed out. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have cookies and things like that to bake in. So come on and see us there. That's the end of my report. Any questions?
Thanks, Chief. One, if it's okay with Dr. Who, you guys have an excuse tardy tomorrow, being that it's going past 9. And I don't know what everyone thinks, but I don't know if you guys really enjoy sitting there through all this, but maybe we can move your portion to the beginning of the agenda. Just, I don't know what everyone thinks, but if it's, maybe right after presentations, maybe, I know you probably had a bunch of fun there for the last hour. Just trying to help you out, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
You're fine. So a lot's going on in the high school currently. They just started planning semi, which will be February 22nd in Georgetown Center. The tickets will be $25. ROTC and some of the band kids just went to Hawaii, and that was a success. They got to see a whole lot of things that ROTC kids were looking forward to. Student council mostly is running a service night, which will be March 4th in a high school. And it's going to be a place for people who are in like NHS and other things like that to get community service hours, so we can make mats for the homeless, and we're doing like coach drives and things like that, so anyone in the community can come and help. And also there's a PBIS assembly February 27th. I believe that's on a half day of community night or whatever day that is. And it was brought to our attention that from a Duquesne student that they wanted to be included in a way of West Mifflin. So like how Elizabeth Ward is Elizabeth Township and Ford Township Elizabeth Ward. So we thought we might include in like some t-shirts for the school store, or just some way to make them feel included with West Mifflin and not like segregated, but like not included with us as a school. And then the student council's also doing a Stay Positive Week and a De-Stress Fest. So it'll be February 10th, and we'll have coloring, like adult coloring books, board games, like giant board games on the walls and stuff. You can make a stress ball. We'll have music playing. You can make a lava lamp out of a water bottle. We'll have a message center, so you can send someone a message, and you can spend like 50 cents with a Hershey Kiss, or just send them a message for free. And we'll have a spirit week that week too. And we're trying to have yoga and possibly some therapy dogs.
You look at me. Look at Miss DiMaggio, right? We actually have a plan for it.
Okay. And that is it for me.
All right, so I know everything's been all over the place tonight, but I would actually like to start discussing graduation. Not discussing it fully right now, but I would just like to maybe get a meeting with the school board, me and Megan, Mr. Lick, maybe some of the fellow members of the student government, and just get some alternative ideas for inside, outside, maybe ticket sales, all that good stuff for graduation. We just need to figure out a plan to tell the students, because every day I get to the hall and students are asking me if it's on the inside, outside, what all the details are, and we just need to start getting set up.
That's no problem. I'll be coming over to meet with Mr. Lake, Chief Napoleon, Chief Pritchard, and we're gonna come up with a decision. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, will definitely be included.
Also, how's the hoodie thing going where you're not allowed to wear it with Mr. Lex?
People are starting to listen, but yeah, it's probably not going to keep going the way it is.
So how's your day going today then?
I had my hood on for a bit, but I take it off in the hallway so I don't get yelled at.
What is, I'm sorry, what's this rule?
We're not allowed to wear hats or hoods in the hallways because of the cameras. They can't see our faces.
Hold them up.
Yeah.
So like we can't wear it like this.
So you can wear the hoodie, just not on your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, back to graduation. I'm sorry. We're always here to help. If you need any ideas, the student government is willing to put time and effort into it. We just want to help you guys.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any old business?
Yes, for about the last year, we've been kicking this one idea around. All of our buildings and the football stadiums have been non-smoking, but campuses are not. Part of the issues is security, if employees outside smoking or doors being propped open. And part of my concern is all the money that we're spending on security. I just want to make sure everything stays safe. So I'm going to make a motion tonight to make the grounds and the buildings, all campuses smoke-free across the district.
I second this motion.
So, do we have any questions or comments? Yeah, anyone from the audience, being that there's a new motion on the floor, is welcome to come and speak on the motion. If we don't have, does anybody from the audience wish to speak? Okay, amongst the board, do we have any questions? or
Do we
comments?
have a policy in place for that?
Well, I've been asking that for a long time, for when to be made, it hasn't been done. The policies for the buildings. For instance, every building and the football stadium is smoke-free, you're not allowed to use tobacco at all.
I believe that policy was provided several months, if not a year ago, and the policy committee did not bring it out of policy. So maybe this evening, since there's new board members, that your request could be to send that back to policy, let them review it and bring their recommendation at the next meeting.
If you recall, Mr. Alexandrov, last time we talked about this, we sent it to policy. Those members were coming off the board and they did not feel that it was appropriate to take action without the new members' input. So that's why it got tabled at the last policy committee. I know Mr. Mattis is new, he's the new policy chair. We do have a drafted policy that we can discuss, but I think that was the decision. I think Mr. Stolnick or Nicholas Stahern, you were on that. That was the decision. Correct.
I guess I just have a comment. I would say that I'd want to have input from any of the security personnel, because enforcement of a policy is where you start to get the we can make a policy, but how do you enforce that for people standing maybe in front of the stadium smoking because they're not in the stadium, they think they can smoke? And then I just worry about just a continuation of that.
That was discussed at that policy meeting, I'm
Okay.
sure it would be reiterated at this one as well.
Even with the staff.
Right. Like, what are we gonna need to step up to manage something like that? If we enact a policy, that needs to be considered as part of the policy development discussion.
I believe that some of the concern now is that we have put an alarm system in that when somebody goes out the door, that will set an alarm. And the question is that a lot of times now what is happening, people are going out not a main entrance to go outside to smoke, but going out one of these side entrances because it's more convenient and they're propping the door open and which could cause some other issues. So I think that's why the policy committee probably needs to have some discussion.
And also, is it vaping and smoking? I think that's something, I don't know if they're hand in hand today.
It is, because our policy for tobacco is.
So at this point, would we need to table that motion, or would we, if
I would
Mr.
table it
Marshall,
for, I would table it.
if they could just withdraw it at this point, to leave it go to committee.
I think Nick has brought up for a while, I would hope that we would have addressed it one way or another by next month. Because it is a valid, because everywhere else has smoke-free campuses. We don't.
So if you're withdrawing your motion and second, then we don't have to go through a process until next month.
Is that what you wish to do? Okay. Any other old business? New business?
New business, thank you to Nutrition Inc. for samples and Sandy for cookies for school board recognition.
Under new business, the one thing that we've discussed a lot, the whole reason that the kids, when we, the 4th and 5th grade is supposed to be in elementary. And it got to the grade where it's the middle school. And I know Mrs. Haney and Mrs. Baker are doing everything they can to try to have as much of a line as you can in one building. That's elementary and that's middle school. I am making a motion because we do not have a playground for 4th and 5th graders. I am making a motion that we send out an RFP for a safe playground, which would be appropriate for the number of students in 4th and 5th grade, with input from Mrs. Baker, security, buildings and grounds, in the best place to put it. And because at the end of the day, those 4th and 5th graders deserve recess. So that's my motion.
I second that motion.
Do we have any questions or comments?
I have a comment because PTA at middle school has bought all kinds of equipment, thousands of dollars in equipment for the 4th and 5th grade. However, Humboldt does not have a playground, and we just combined 2 schools. So I think we should, if we're gonna look into a playground, we need to be consistent overall.
Both of them needed.
If I can make a recommendation, we just sent something to the policy committee to be reviewed and brought here. Why wouldn't we recommend that the building and grounds committee look into this, bring back some information before we go out? Right now, to say that we're gonna go out for an RFP, we don't even have an idea of what we would need in that to write a specification for an RFP. So why don't we have that discussion with the administration, bring input? Do we have, how much room do we have in both of these locations? Try to get some more information before we just go into that.
Well, if, I would like it if we're willing to address this.
Sir, if we have a motion, we'll leave you speak.
I thought you did.
We do at this point, I'm not sure if it's gonna move that direction. You can give us a moment.
If we're willing as a board to address this by next month, what our next step is at both buildings, to be fair and make sure that they get, because at the end of the day, the PTA doesn't work hard to do things, but I think sometimes we also have to recognize, especially the 4th and 5th grade, that those kids need to feel like they're in an elementary school, and to give Mrs. Baker and her staff what I had when I was in 4th grade.
Mrs. Aver, what type of equipment do they purchase? Like just kickball, like, okay.
Yeah, nets and balls and footballs, I think there's hockey nets.
Do they have designated time?
Yeah,
Okay, where does that take place at?
it's on the lower field, right behind the middle school.
Okay.
tragic.
But I still think it's something that we need to address.
Again, I agree that it needs to be addressed. I think the appropriate process would leave building and grounds, get information from the administration, locations, the square footage that we have to work with, and then bring something back to the full
Are there
board.
grant opportunities that we can pursue for the playground?
But at the end of the day, I don't want to always grant in 2 years down the road we have it. I think we should be proactive in giving those kids the best environment we can, because I'm just having recess. So I respectfully withdraw it based on everyone's word that we're going to move forward and we can see what we can do.
Any other new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.